applications and get the process started.
Any other discussion?
You supported that?
Mike?
Mike, you supported that one?
Call for the vote.
Mr. Wallow,
Yes.
Mr. Gunderson,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Cooper,
We could appoint them tonight and be done with it, so no.
Mr. Farrar,
Yes.
Work session for pass 401. So, under there, am I missing anything? Kind of, I didn't see anything else. We'll move into citizen comments. Anybody wishing to comment, please step to the podium, name and address. If you would, for the record, please, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening again. Quite a bit was going on tonight that was quite concerning. First of all, there was a comment made, I believe, by the city manager that ZBA should be trained and they should be concerned with the potential for being sued for acting illegally. However, you guys voted on a motion tonight to augment or amend the charter through a resolution, which is completely illegal, and you apparently have no concern about the potential for being sued for acting illegally. It was also mentioned that past precedent has been used to get the city attorney to be here, and just like that was mentioned for a couple of other things at the last city council meeting, I would like to reiterate what I said that night, which is past illegal actions don't allow for future illegal actions. Also, like I mentioned, augmenting has no legal difference than amending the city charter. Just calling it by a synonym or a different word makes it no more legal than what it already is or is not. And it was talked about that, debated, I guess, about the definition of council acting. In order for council to do anything, to act in any way, to decide in any matter whatsoever, it has to do so by a majority vote. There are provisions right here in the charter that say unless otherwise, it has to be by a majority vote. Sometimes you have to have an increased amount, so 4 or 5 people to vote on a particular thing. Council cannot act or decide anything in any way without doing it in an open session of council and without doing it by at least a majority vote. So setting a resolution to allow for you to do it by only one member of council and a city manager completely ignores what the Constitution of this city says. Therefore, I would ask you to motion and vote to rescind the resolution passed tonight and follow the city charter as it is written. Also, you mentioned a toolbox that the ZBA has, that it was inadequate, and I would argue that your toolbox, the city council acting as ZBA, is far inadequate. You are no more qualified to serve on the ZBA than the individuals who applied, most of whom were already serving on the ZBA as members or as alternates. The city manager's comments insinuated that Shelley Gladding, Shelley Cooper, Robert Benson, who are already serving, are not good enough to continue to serve. And I find that extremely insulting because there's no reason to hide behind and make these accusations or statements in any form, let alone in the shady manner that they're being made tonight. All I heard from the mayor about this is that he wanted council to have control over Wesco, Independent Bank, and the Commons projects. I was very concerned that that was repeated, that was the whole reason why you want to wait until January, is to wait until those projects are done so you can retain control over those 3 projects. There's no reason why the current applicants can't be brought up to speed on the facts. Furthermore, there's no proof that reinstating the ZBA would hold up those 3 projects in any way, shape, or form. By the way, the Independent Bank project is already proceeding illegally, because the city manager, in beginning that project, was not following our ordinances, as I pointed out to the council in letters previous. Our charter specifically allows the planning commission to serve as ZBA. Nobody ever mentioned that, but that's actually in our charter, which again is our constitution. Yes, state law does allow for city council to serve as ZBA, but our charter also allows for planning commission to serve as ZBA. So I don't understand why, if the issue is making sure you're having qualified candidates, they're presumably more in tune with those kinds of zoning issues. Why are they not acting as ZBA if you don't want the ZBA to act as the ZBA? And you mentioned about that they don't have enough training. If you want to provide training to the ZBA applicants or members, there's no reason why you can't do that. No one is stopping you guys from saying, ZBA members, in order to be a part of this new ZBA, you have to attend training. I think all of them would do that. I see most, if not all of them here, and they would all do that. You're purposely retaining control over 3 important projects in the community, although you admittedly have no knowledge or training on the issues, more so than what the applicants or the past members of the ZBA have in those matters. And I find that really concerning. I ask you to please reconsider that tonight before you close the meeting. On a positive note, I would like to say that I really do appreciate, Ron, your detail that you have in your council liaison reports. DDA, library board, I think those are the 2 that you report on, and you have a way of making an hour-and-a-half meeting succinctly but properly reported to the council and the people here tonight, and that might seem like a insignificant thing to somebody else, but I really do value that, and I appreciate that, and I encourage you all to also do that. Not that you don't, but I just specifically noticed that about Ron tonight. Furthermore, I really appreciate that I feel like I'm getting more eye contact from you guys tonight. I feel like I'm not getting glared at, which I have in meetings prior, and I really appreciate that. I know that we're not seeing eye to eye on some of these issues, and I can't tell you how much that means to me that I'm getting the respect of eye contact that is not a glare. Furthermore, one last thing is, you guys have mentioned hammered on moving forward, being positive, taking a step in the right direction, and in doing so, essentially pointing the fingers at me and or other members of the community that are supposedly dragging things down or making things negative. I would ask you to consider something that's been going on, which is, in August, it's no secret that I filed a lawsuit against the city manager for violating my constitutional rights as well as other state provisions. My initial meeting with the attorney here in this very room made a threat of sanctions if I didn't dismiss my lawsuit. I'd ask you to consider if that's positive and moving forward in the right direction. Then there were threats to report me to the Attorney Grievance Commission in October. Again, is that positive, moving forward in the right direction? He's acting as your agent. He's in your employ. Then, 2 weeks ago, I was reported to, as well as a couple of other individuals, to the Ione County Sheriff's Office for allegedly bribing city council members merely because of certain provisions that I put in my proposed settlement agreement. That I have an issue with. The fact that somebody doesn't like what I put in my settlement agreement does not give them the right to throw out baseless, unfounded accusations that I am somehow involved in a crime, let alone bribery. And there were only 3 people that knew what was in the settlement agreement: the mayor, the city manager, and the attorney. So I find that concerning that one of those 3 members made a baseless allegation to the Ione County Sheriff's Department. And finally, on October 11th, I was informed by the city's attorney that I was reported to the Attorney Grievance Commission for following up on my constitutional right to petition my local government for a redress of grievances. Because even though I'm an attorney, somehow there's a claim that I'm not allowed to communicate with you on ongoing matters, such as the concerns I have right now and how this case is being prosecuted or handled or defended by your attorney. So I would ask you to remember that there is not only a Michigan Constitution, but a United States Constitution that guarantees my right to be able to talk to you at any time to redress and petition to redress any grievances that I have. I have done so in a respectful fashion. I have always outlined the law for the basis of my complaint or question, I have outlined the facts. I have not hidden anything from you. I have not made it personal in nature. I'm asking for simple respect, and I'm allowed to do that. So please keep that in mind, that when your representative, your attorney in this matter, has reported me to the Attorney Grievance Commission, first of all, I'm waiting to hear what their response is, since I gave them the ample amount of law on my side in this fashion. But I would ask you to keep that in mind. Is that positive? Is that moving our community forward when you have a citizen who is being treated in this fashion for simply trying to hang on to her constitutional rights? Please keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
Hi, I'm Henry Kufeld, I live at 410 South Bridge Street. I'm listening to the ZBA stuff, and I have the pleasure of serving, and the privilege of serving on the library board. And I know that if the board was dissolved tomorrow without notifying me, and then reconstituted, and nobody told me, I would, and my term is still active, I would be a little upset. What I think you guys could do is to, if their term has not expired, reinstate the 3 members that were sitting, and the council members that they replaced turn into alternates, and so you can get the other applicants interviewed and properly vetted for what they need to do. I know zoning is a very sensitive issue because miszoning an area can cause a lot of problems for a community down the road. So we want to make sure everybody's informed, but if they weren't doing a bad job, you should put them back. And at least make at least a bridge between the 2 positions I've heard tonight. And
Thank you.
Jeff Hunter, 6302 Zam Road. You never cease to amaze me on the entertainment value that you guys provide, and wonder why this town is a laughingstock of state of Michigan. Congratulations on your little bit more of your dictator grabship tonight. My main thing tonight was, if I'm not mistaken, a couple meetings ago, Councilmember Jerry Lalo sat up here and told everybody if they had any concerns with the city to contact him. I'm pretty sure that was him up here waving his hand, saying, yep, call me, whatever. But I'm curious on why do citizens keep receiving emails from Councilmember Lalo that at the end of them states never to contact them again? I'm sure nobody can intimidate you like you claim in your emails. But I just don't quite understand it. If you want, there's a camera back there, people will be watching. You can explain to people what it is, either contact you with their concerns or never to contact you. You know, maybe you could straighten that up for people.
You do that. Thank you.
I guess that thing about your whole ordeal of the parks, I guess you said there's one of them that's zoned residential. Would that be the 4.5 acres of wasteland that you guys created? And your whole argument with Electrolux, that is not the consent judgment that that property has to be rezoned anything for you to turn it into your new park. According to that consent judgment, that fence should be down by now, and you should have your 4.5 acres of wasteland to walk all over, because you can't plant trees or nothing on it. So, congratulations and thanks for asking tonight.
Thank you, Jeff.
Good evening, again. My name is Ralph Brennan. I wanted to bring up a portion of the charter, or 2 portions of the charter. Section 2.9 that states, under charter amendments, this charter may be amended at any time in the manner provided by law. And it says under state law reference, power to adopt and amend charter of Michigan Constitution. Charter Amendment Procedure, MCL 117.21. That references the vote of the people. Also, it says under section 5.4, powers, duties, and functions of the council, midway through that paragraph, and you are to do and to perform all acts required of it by this charter. I would like to remind the council that your job here is to represent the citizens. You made a resolution and you passed it that took away citizens' rights. Every one of you are here to represent citizens, and when one person or two people act as representation, you took away the power of the rest of these council members to represent the citizens of this city. This charter does not state that any other council person has no more right than the next person. But now with this resolution, one or two of you has taken on more rights than the other council members. That is wrong, and that takes away the rights of the citizens of the city. This is not how this government was based. And into reference to the state of Michigan changing the law, state law and federal law supersedes city charter. The city of Belding, along with every city in this state, is only in existence because the state of Michigan allows it. The state of Michigan owns everything. It states that this charter was developed in accordance and allowance of the state of Michigan. So the state has a right to. But you do not have a right to supersede this charter because you do not have the right to supersede the opinions and the vote of the people. So keep that in mind when you make these decisions. Every one of you has a right and a duty and an obligation to represent the citizens, whether you like it or not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Brown, 759 J Street. I just want to take a minute to commend Councilman Jones for his due diligence with the ZBA. I think it was a very wise decision of this council to postpone this for a work session. I particularly like the idea of having interviews in a public forum. When you run for office, you're essentially doing a public interview from the call. So appointments just by an application to me seems ridiculous. As citizens, we should have the right to know who goes on those boards, or qualifications for those boards. So I look forward to the work session. I think it's very transparent. I think it's due diligence. I think it's a great thing to do, and good luck with it.
Thank you, Robert.
Sam Mason, 516 West Main, on Bell Party Store. I would like to thank Mr. Ron Gunderson, the mayor, for stepping up, dealing with the situation that we had on the equipment and stuff. Explained a lot of stuff to me. So there was a transparency on how it went about, why it went about, the process of it. Personally, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Dennis, and actually Mr. Shire, I should say, for recognizing the fact that not all members of City Council were trained for zoning board of appeals as your first meeting. And at that meeting, I made a statement that you guys had the opportunity with the Wesco fence to to put in a stipulation to make them put in the fence higher than what was requested or required. And at that time, I was told this wasn't the place for it. That would be planning commission, which is completely not accurate. And I know I was correct in that. And as we were walking out, actually, the gentleman from Westville told me that I was correct as well in stating that. Also, in my training that I have had on zoning board of appeals, I was told 9 out of every 10 appeal case that comes through should be denied. It also should not be such a recurrent situation that you have to continually come back for the same situation. The property at Wesco, I believe we are now up to 3 cases for zoning board of appeals now. I believe, I could be wrong. So that does seem, 3 cases by one property does seem to be recurrent. So, I think that needs, you know, that is a stipulation that you need to be looked at, is the planning, the actual zoning, the ordinance is incorrect? Or, you know what I mean, you need to look at that, what the situation is, because if you have the same property keep coming back, same thing with the Candlestone situation. Candlestone is zoned, residential. So every time they need to do something at that property, it always has to come to the zoning board of appeals, because it's a business property zoned residential. It needs to be changed. That's a problem we have. So I'm very aware of these situations. Another issue I've been having, I was very well trained, and when you guys are making your votes, you're making yes or no votes. You're not giving any explanations. The way I was trained in these meetings is that not only to give a yes, a no or yes vote, but to actually give an explanation. So if you are ever taken to court, you actually gave your reasoning. It wasn't just a yes or no. You were not giving a basis for your answer. So you have to cover yourself with your explanation. So I was trained, whether staff believes it was trained by the right person or not, I mean, that's up for you to decide, but I mean, I definitely believe, I can't remember, the library guy.
Okay.
Yes, that he made a good explanation. There were 3 of us that were trained, and the rest could be set, you know, finished by city council as alternates to finish out, so they could have moved ahead. And I do like that he came up with that idea, because it does make a lot of sense.
Thank you, Jody.
Craig Probasa, 79 Story Road. Kind of chaotic this evening, trying to wrap my head around it. But I did want to follow up and say that I think it is kind of an insult to say that the people who were existing board members, ZBA board members, are not qualified to be put back on the board is ludicrous. They're already there, they're already trained. I don't know what the holdup is. To say that the applicants are not qualified, that are local business owners, is also an insult. That's a huge insult to these people. They're residents of this community. They work here, they invested in it. And I think it's ludicrous that you would put that out there to say that they have to be qualified people. Yeah, we get that. And they can get the additional training. But we have a great community here of business owners that can handle this. As a training, I do believe we need more training. I do believe, Mr. Mayor, that maybe there should be some more training in responding to the community. Because I've had multiple times where we've had Mr. Lalo's emails forwarded to me as to how he responds to the citizens. It's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing. To answer back to a fellow citizen that's just kind of asking about an education and say, well, I'll tell you mine if you tell me your education. And to shun them in that manner, that's just fuel for the fire. I could think of a million other ways to respond properly and respectfully to a citizen. And it's unacceptable. I'm in high hopes that this can be improved. Because it does fuel the fire. That's what makes people upset. You sat up here, just like Mr. Hunter had said, and said that, call me anytime, email me anytime. Well, provide that transparency. Provide that vocabulary. Provide that conversation. Or just delete it. It's one of the two. But don't fuel the fire, Mr. Lowell. I'm in high hopes that we can get the ZBA put back into place and do it with our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. No further comment. We will close citizen comment. Next, I would ask, we will be going into a closed session under Public Act 267, 15.268. Oh, I'm sorry, city manager, sorry.
That's
I've
okay.
already written this one all up.
I don't have anything other than to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a safe and happy New Year.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Council comments. Where we left off. Gary, start with you.
Yeah, I'll respond to those. And, when somebody is asking me to investigate misdemeanors and felonies, I can't do that. And I said, I can't answer those emails to those persons because I don't have the investigation necessary to be able to do that. But they're going to respond to me and ask me to investigate felonies and misdemeanors by a city manager. I can't do that properly. I'm not the state police. If they want to bring it to the state police, they're more than welcome. As far as getting emails and responding to those emails regarding felonies and misdemeanors, what the email said, I can't investigate that, and I won't answer those emails. I won't answer those. I'm sorry, that's where I'm at with it. They want to investigate it, send them to the state police and investigate it. I'm more than happy. I can't do that properly. I cannot. I have received phone calls from people that got up here and spoke. I haven't hung up on you. You called me, I have talked to you. Is that right?
No comment.
So, but as far as investigating felonies and misdemeanors, I can't do that, and I won't do that. I can't do that properly. It would be just injustice for them for me to answer those emails. But as far as my education, if you really want to know my education, there wasn't a question when I ran for office, but I'll be happy to tell you my education if you really want to know it. I have a 2-year degree, I have an associate's degree in law enforcement. I hope that makes everybody happy. I've been through, I have a Catholic education, I have a grade school education, I have a college education, I have a high school education. I don't know what more you want from me. That's my education. All I am.
Thank you, Gary. Tom?
I've had some questions on some of the emails about city attorney. Who's supposed to be our city attorney? Again, I'd like to make a motion for a resolution at the next meeting to name Varnum LLC. Varnum, Redering, Schmidt is our primary city attorney, but we may go to other attorneys for specialty cases.
You have that motion on the floor then?
That's my motion.
Do you have a support?
Support.
Mike? Any discussion on this? Who will lead off with? Dennis, starting us?
Doesn't have to go to bid,
No, it's a professional service.
so it doesn't have to go to bid.
Now, they've been, if I
Yes, go ahead.
may, at the last council meeting, because there were some questions relative to not having a contract, Attorney Cracker did suggest that a resolution that gave that authorization relative to, because they've been acting in this capacity for how many decades?
Back in the 70s.
And so, because they don't enter into contracts per se, he recommended that a resolution identifying that, but that it can be terminated at any time, and that we also have the latitude to step outside of their firm for specialty, so that we do have a document. And I think part of that was, the impetus to that was some of the FOIAs relative to documentation showing who our city attorney is.
Any further questions, Dennis?
No.
Mike? Jerry? Tom, anything else you want to add to it? That would leave us open then, if we need to specialize in something, if something was come up within the city, we could still go outside, as you say.
Yes, for instance, if we have more issues relative to the Electrolux property, we could engage the services of an environmental attorney who's more familiar with that is not necessarily within the Varnum, Rittering, and Schmidt group.
Thank you. That being said, I would call for a vote.
Mr. Mello?
Yes.
Mr. Gunderson?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Scheid?
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0.
As for the rest of my comments, I thank everybody that's here tonight, the input that gave the concept, and I hope we can proceed with the ZBA and keep the town moving forward and get things done. That's all.
Dennis?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say. A lot of you understand some of the things that are going on and see some of the things, and I hear what you're saying. I'm trying to move the city forward in a positive direction and an honest direction and do things correctly. But right now, looks like I need some help, so.
Thank you, Dennis. Mike?
Thank you, everybody, for showing up tonight. It's good to see a nice crowd here. Thank you for the comments that were made by the people out here in the audience. We appreciate it, at least I do. There are things that we do need to work on, and hopefully we can get them accomplished and get things moving along. In the meanwhile, everybody have happy holidays. Be careful out there if you're leaving town. And for God's sakes, if you're going out on the 31st, really be careful. So, Merry Christmas, everybody.
A couple of things to discuss. This whole ZBA situation seems to have been turned around. Instead of the council trying to protect the city, it's been turned around as power grab by us and everything. And I really resent that factor, that we are trying to move the city forward, and that that's been turned around as a power grab. It's been explained, I explained it to Mrs. Gladding, why we did what we did when she was not. Was it an oversight as far as city? Yes, it was an oversight as far as sending out notifications. It was discussed. It was an oversight. I did apologize to Mrs. Gladding over that, and I explained to her the situation. At the time, she seemed to be amenable to it. So, I'm glad we're moving forward also. This has nothing to do with power struggle. This has everything to do with this community moving forward and continuing to grow, instead of trying to get a business to not have a business come after us and say we're not being cooperative with them. So I'm really kind of shocked that the community decided to switch this and turn this whole thing around on us, because of what's happened here. Electrolux property. I have been in contact with the DEQ since day one on this. I found out this past Friday, after several phone calls going unanswered to Paul Knorr at the DEQ, contacted Dave O'Donnell, who told me that they had a no further action required on the property. And it ends tomorrow. The city was not notified. However, they managed to send a report to the library. When I found out it was down there, I went down, started reading it. I do not agree with what's going on. I do not agree that there is no further action needed on that property. The city has responded with a letter to the DEQ. They will not be, they have 180 days, I believe it is, before they need to close this out, and we will continue down this road of, they are asking things like, after 2 years, no further tests will be done on the property, and I disagree with that. Because it falls within their parameters does not mean that it's acceptable, and it should not be acceptable to this community. So, this has not gone by the wayside. It has been a continuous battle, on my end anyway, and it will always be. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and safe travel. Have a great holiday. Next, we will be going into closed session, PA 267-15.268, Section 8H, to consider material from discussion for disclosure by state and federal statute. Can I have a motion to support to bring this to the floor?